Hello and welcome to Analena's podcast and to our mutual show. This is Alex, and today I am starting the show, the podcast, because we're actually here today to turn the tables around a little bit, and I want to interview Analena. So we get to have her answer some questions because usually she is the one interviewing people and pulling out the goodness out of everyone. And today I wanted to just turn it around and have her just take get to sit back and tell us a little bit about all the beautiful stuff that she's been creating. And
Mm.
specifically what we wanted to talk about today and have her tell us a little bit more about is her shift method, which is really helping people to reshape their financial reality. So I personally am so curious about it and I wanted to understand more. So I thought it'd be helpful for all of us if we learn a little bit more about how this works and why this works and who it's for and what it can do and why it's so magical and powerful. So if you're ready, Annalena, should we just jump right in?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It feels so good just to be the one answering questions. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
mutual invitation, I guess. So, the first thing that obviously came to mind for me is what inspired you to create the shift method?
Yeah, so I have been a coach now for 7, 8, almost 9 years for a really long time. And I have gone through so many certifications and trainings and especially energy healing modalities, right? Or what we also call in human design the deconditioning process, which is about letting go of the mask, letting go of what's no longer serving you, and really stepping into the most empowered version of you where you really tap into allowing yourself to receive what's really meant for you, right? Especially a lot of goodness in your life, because I think we all deserve it. And I have noticed many times that oftentimes we stay stuck, right? Like people do all the things and they do all the sessions and the energy healings and everything, and people stay stuck, often in, yeah, our more victim mentality, right? Where life is happening to us. And I have realized over all these years that there wasn't like one energy healing modality or something that would do it for me, right? I was always a person that loved the variety of everything, and I saw the benefit in many different things. And I always knew at some point I'm going to create my own thing or my own method, but I never knew how it looked like. And so over the years, and human design and gene keys has also played a huge role with that. What I have learned from that, this whole understanding of how we operate in this world and our unique blueprint, how we manifest. And I started to practice all of this, right? Also teachings from Kabbalah. There's so many things in it. And I started to see all these commonalities. Yeah, this is called this, but this is really very similar to this, right? And I was like, oh, okay. So I started to practice it on my own, and we have been doing this also. We talk a lot on Voxer, and we have been shifting our own financial reality a lot. And I used to be in a very scarcity-based situation with money where I felt a codependency with money, meaning that how I felt was dependent on how much money I had access to. And I was more in an energy of chasing money, and that never worked for me. And over the years, through applying this shift method, and at the time I didn't even know it was called the shift method, so I'm gonna tell you like how it really came about. I have really gotten to a place where I feel so grounded in my relationship with money, no matter how much money there's in my bank account. And that is such a freedom state, let me tell you. And in that, I also started to see how money started to flow more effortlessly to me. And I'm also now in a state where there are some money miracles starting to happen that I could never have planned for. And I'm like, okay, wow, this is working. And about a month ago, I actually was talking to you, and I had this moment. There was a big money trigger actually coming up for me. And I was actually excited because I knew I can shift this, I can alchemize this into empowerment. And so I went through this process, not even knowing that I was going through this process. And I was telling you, like, this is how I do it, and this and this and this. And I feel so amazing now. And now things are shifting. I could really see it. And literally in my reality, how I saw the result of it. And all of a sudden I had the 5 pillars of the shift, right? I was like, oh, this is what I do. And I combine this. And then I just wrote it down. And it's just, when you just feel like this is it, like this is how it's meant to be. And I didn't even have to think about it. And I have to be honest, I had spent the last 2 years already because I had mentors always telling me, like, you have to come up with your own method and da 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 da. And I was sitting there trying to figure it out. And then I was like, oh, when you let go and no longer look for it, just like when you no longer chase money, you know, I became an energetic match for it. And voila, boom, here it was. So that's how it came about.
It's pretty magical.
Yeah.
Also, like in Kabbalah, they always say you have to let go of needing it, but you still have to have the desire for it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's something that a lot of people are having a challenge wrapping their heads around. But once you figure it out, that's when things come to you, right? Soulmate relationships, all the things.
And for example, I have been practicing the infinity healing for many years, and I have been telling my audience, anybody that is in my programs or was in my membership, you will know, I have been telling people, I feel like it's time for me to let go of it. Yeah, I learned a lot from this modality, but I cannot just conform to the script anymore of how I have to do these infinity healing sessions. And it was a blessing for me. And I think I talked about this already a year ago. And then I just let it go. And I told them, I think I have to do my own. And then it came when I was least expecting it. I was going for a nice spring morning walk, chatting with you, going through my own like trigger process. And I felt so amazing after. And I was like, wow, this really works. I have to share this with people, you know? Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. I remember that. That was such a fun thing. It's like, oh my God, you didn't even need to use AI to put the letters together, right? That's when you know it's real magic.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Awesome. I love it. So, who is this method for? Like, who will get good results with it?
Well, anybody that feels the pull, right? If you feel like, "Ooh, this is something for you," it is for you. Now, you want to be a person that is really in this energy of desiring to be your best version, right? Where you let go of all the mass and you're ready for a transformation. And in particular, knowing that you have the power to create the reality you desire. This method is not about me doing something on you in any way or form. This is empowering you with the toolbox that you can apply in your unique way to create whatever reality it is you desire. And yes, while we're talking in the realm of finances here and money, this can be applied to anything in life because everything in life to me is a relationship. It's a relationship with yourself, the relationship with others. Money is also a relationship. So really, it's for people that are ready to live their best life.
Wow. Who doesn't want that? I mean, I do. I'm always up for that.
Yeah, I
I
know.
want to, yeah, no. Also about the shift method, because there's every Facebook ad and Instagram ad is telling you another thing like, how is this, what makes a shift method different from other frameworks that you've seen over the years?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot out there, and I'm not here to judge, but I have often noticed that there was this marketing where you're being promised this magical overnight transformation, or it's like this 7-minute meditation that's going to change your whole reality, right? Like it's a secret kind of thing. And that just never resonated with me, you know? This is not a secret. This is not a magical hack. This actually takes applying it consistently for a longer period of time, you know? Um, so what makes it different is that it's not like a 5-step process that you have to follow to the T. It's more so these 5 pillars. And depending on where you're at, you can dive into one of these pillars. And of course, they're all dance together, but it's a very flexible method that you can customize to you because some of the pillars in the method you may have already worked on, but you may be missing some parts, right? And I find when you integrate all of these 5 pillars, that's really when the magic unfolds, right? So that's how I feel that it's different. Plus, it has never been created before, and maybe somebody else called something a shift method, but this is based on my experience that I've gone through over all these years. And like I said, having gone through all these like certifications and teachings and da 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 da. And I think the biggest thing is really that I said already, this is something that you can use for yourself for the rest of your life. You don't need anyone, like you don't need an energy healer, like none of it. Because I have had so many experiences where I felt like, oh, I'm not going to be fine unless I have this magical energy healing session that's going to fix me. It was always the most disempowering thing ever, and this is really like a from within yourself transformation that's going to last, because your reality, what you see, is always a reflection of your inside. So we're going to change from the inside out, not trying to fix you from the outside, because there's nothing to fix. You're perfectly fine. This is just, like I said, for those that really, you know what, I'm going to go all in. I want to live my best life. I'm going to claim it. And that's what it's for.
I love it. So, if I'm hearing this correctly, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like over all the years that you've been working on yourself and being a coach and guiding others, but especially for yourself, maybe you already had like two or three of those pillars constantly like strong.
Mhm.
And then over time you realized, oh, this is missing and that is missing. And once you applied all five of these pillars um, consistently over like a certain amount of time, and I guess it's probably individually different how long that time frame is, but once you figured out, okay, this is the whole ingredient, all the ingredients for the soup, and then you cook them for a while, and then you saw, oh, now things are shifting. Is this,
Mhm.
am I
Yeah.
understanding this correctly?
So one other thing that came to me, how this is really different and unique, because oftentimes I realized that some methods or ways to manifest and live your best life, they were great, but there was for me a fundamental flaw. So I give you one example with this, like, focus on what you want, right? Oftentimes people don't even know what they want. And that's a big problem if that's the first thing you have to focus on. Most manifestation books start like this. And so the whole thing is not going to work for people. And working with your emotions is extremely important. But we can also do it too extreme and stay stuck in it. So the realization for me was how to balance the feminine and the masculine energies in this, because our mind is incredibly powerful. But when we use it from a dysregulated nervous system and we're not grounded in our feminine essence and we're not in touch with emotions and such, it is actually very limited. And we keep operating from what we already know in this reality, right? Which is like the 0.000.1%. And with what I'm teaching, you're really tapping into the 99.99999% of the possibilities and what we don't even know that are possible yet. So we open ourselves really up, my favorite word, magic,
Mm.
which is really like tapping into a new reality that you couldn't even have planned with your mind, because everything we know is based on the past, right? And our consciousness cannot even comprehend, I think, all the magic that is actually possible for us. And that's how I have been operating my life and my business for the last, 7 years. I mean, it didn't start like this, but it has gotten progressively better. And I'm not following any rules anymore. I really fully lean into my own way. And with this method, right? And I know method sometimes sounds a little bit like, but it's not this one way. It's a very unique, customizable approach that really is about the universal teachings or the wisdom of the universe, like how the universe works. And I have learned this through human design, through the gene keys, through Kabbalah, through one of the best or several of the best meditation teachers out there. And I'm just bringing it all together because, I started to see how it's all connected
Mhm.
and how we often just look at things isolated. And it's really going back to balancing the feminine and the masculine.
Beautiful. So it sounds like that the shift method has the power to help a person become an antenna and a receptive vessel for the reality that is in the unseen realm already available, but that they haven't claimed yet.
Yeah, it's like you're not a frequency match for it yet. Because it exists in the
Mhm.
invisible, but we have to, it's like in a radio station, right? You have to tune to the frequency to actually hear and see the station.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's so exciting. I'm sure 1,000 people can't wait right now to get into this. Well,
Well,
yeah, so this,
I'm a little bit biased, but I have, I have my experience and I have worked with so many people over these years. And even though at the time I didn't call it the shift method, it works. It's very magical. And I've seen it now over and over again. I feel like it's my responsibility to start sharing it more with more people.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I personally can't wait to be magicalized through it too. So, can you tell us a little bit more about why you believe it's necessary and needed right now in the world, especially in a financial empowerment context?
Yeah, because I think the world is a little bit chaotic right now. I don't even want to get into politics, right? We live in the US, guys, so people are scared, I think, because there's so much uncertainty. And I want people to realize that they can create whatever reality they desire. And
Mm.
desire, I mean, comes from heart, not from ego, right? That's an important distinction. Like if you have a big vision, if you have a something that you just so love and would like to experience in your life, it's there because life, God, source, universe planted that seed within you for a very particular reason, right? Not to think like, oh, I'm not worthy of it or I shouldn't have this desire. No, right? And I think it's the most potent time right now to apply this method because triggers, we talked about this on the last episode, are the biggest gift or gold mine when it comes to shifting into a more powerful reality for ourselves, right? It's not from just the positive thinking, it's the things that like really bug you. Even if you're listening right now and you feel really triggered, like what's she talking about? Like create your best life with the shift method. Like, I mean, yeah, if that triggers you, it's actually a really good thing. Maybe there's something there for you, because I want to share from my experience that when I really was able to lean into my triggers with some mentors and coaches that were doing something or already embodying something that I deep inside desired, that was really important for me, and it didn't happen overnight. But I see now the shifts because things that used to trigger me in the past, now I'm like, oh my God, of course. Like I don't understand like why I got triggered. And now I realize, yeah, because that was in me too. But I wasn't fully allowing myself to be that version of myself.
I think we even talked about this a few weeks ago on Voxer, just the two of us, about how conversations about money or certain even money goals that one of us had, right, would trigger the other and like put us into judgment, right? Triggers isn't just like getting angry. It's also um it's so triggers can be so sneaky, and that's why a lot of people don't even find them or recognize them because they can be disguised as some things that we just find is like a normal part of us, like judging, right?
Hmm.
So it's the cool thing is that we've also gone through it ourselves. So we can recognize
Hmm.
all of these sneaky little triggers trying to hide themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's really important what you said, that especially when everything in the external world seems so chaotic and disempowering, that people recognize, oh, this is actually a place or a time where I can get extremely empowered around my money situation.
And I met a couple several years ago. I think she was German, he was American, and they were into real estate investing. It was super triggering for me because they were living the life like, and I remember he telling me, oh, when the market goes down, that is the best. They're the best opportunities. And I was like, wow, I want to have that attitude. I was like, there is something there when people really live their best life and they allow it to be easy and all of it, right? So that's what's happening right now. I really believe it. You may think everything is going against you, but this is the biggest opportunity for people to really create magic. And just want to give you also some insights from the gene keys. So there's one gene key, I think it's the third gene key. Like the shadow is chaos. The gift is innovation. Without embracing and really having compassion for the chaos and seeing the gift in it, how are we going to get into innovation? We're not, right? We
That's
have
such a
to.
good point.
The gift is in the shadow.
And especially with all the external chaos going on in the world right now, it's really, like you say, the innovation is born from within, from creating the revolution, from changing within. And this is exactly what your method does, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like where you are no longer dependent on what's going on around you, right? And this is now another gene key, the 21st gene key. The shadow is control, but where we're trying to control, right? Or where we let outside events control how we feel. But in the higher expression, you step into what we call authority in the gene keys, where it's like you can be in control of how you show up, about how you think, about how you perceive the world, right? So we are working on taking charge of the things that we can be in control of. That is how you feel inside, right? And with that, watch and your outside world will shift like magic. Because some things are out of your control and you can complain about it, you can try to fight it, you're going to give it more energy and you're going to make it grow. So we are focusing on controlling what you have the authority over.
And that shifts everything in the outside world too.
Yeah, exactly. It really does.
And it sounds like it's also really in alignment with, like, we're less than 2 years away from shifting into the new chart, right? With a incarnation cross of the, is it the sleeping
Yeah,
phoenix?
the sleeping phoenix in human design is talked about. Yes, yes.
And that's very much also about personal empowerment.
Yeah,
Way
the 55th gene key is part of this incarnation cross, which is about freedom.
mm.
The freedom to be you, the freedom to live your best life, the freedom to fully express yourself, whatever freedom means to you. Yeah.
Feel like it's already coming through so much, and we're all preparing for this already. So, especially people who are spiritually aligned and who have like more of a leadership role, whether that's parent or leader in a company or having your own coaching business or guiding people, right? I feel like those people, we have to feel it first. We have to already
Mhm.
like go through it right now so that we're ready when 2027 comes for the larger population, right? That we already know, okay, this is what we got to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, what kind of transformation can people actually expect through this shift method?
I think the biggest thing is getting out of this codependency
Can
in this
you
context, especially with money, right?
can you speak a little bit more in like examples and tangible language about what does codependency with money actually look like?
Well, when you really let how you feel, how you show up, be impacted by how much money you have access to, right? So if money is tight, you feel disempowered. If there's a lot of money, you feel like, oh, no, I'm fine, but it's kind of you're still in a fight or flight. And then you start, even if you have a lot of money, right? Let's say you're a millionaire, but you're constantly scared to lose the money. That is codependency with money, right? Think about it in a relationship, right? When you're like, oh, I can only be happy if my partner is doing these kind of things, right? I can only be happy if I have this amount of money in my bank account coming in every month, right? I'm only happy such and such. So we make it dependent on something outside of ourselves. And also, we actually, depending on where we're at with money, because we can be on either side of the spectrum, but let's say you're more struggling with money and it's more tight, that when you are staying in this energetic state, you keep staying in the struggle in an unnecessary way, right? Because you are in the state of more chasing money. you're trying to figure out all these things. You're signing up for all the programs to make money, and you always walk away being disappointed, and you keep spending more. And with this energy, you're actually repelling money. You're actually pushing money away. And the harder you try, the more you push it away. So the shift here we're going to work on creating that is absolutely possible for you is where you become more a magnet of financial abundance, right? And you feel relaxed about money. No matter if it's very low. Well, let's say your bank account is at zero, but you're fine. You're like, I have the power within me to create anything. You know, you're the creator. With the creator, you co-create, right? It's so powerful when you believe in yourself, when you have the courage to actively co-create and trust your intuition and take bold action, even though there's fear, right? Because that happens when we always expand. And then also, as you expand, that it's safe for your nervous system. That's what we will work on because so many people in this world, they had the big money wins, right? Won the lottery or made the six-figure launch, but then they got burned out. They were really unfulfilled, not happy. So we are working more on a sustainable foundation to gently expand into your desired financial reality that you can then stay in and keep expanding on. And at some point it may go exponentially up, but you will be ready for it. Your nervous system will be like so detached to money that it's no longer a shock for you and all of a sudden you make the $1 million. Because if your nervous system is a wreck, you will do the best you can to get rid of it, even though that doesn't make sense to your conscious mind.
Yeah. So is it a mindset shift? Is it a belief shift? Is it emotional? Is it physical? Like how
All of
will it?
it. I mean,
Yeah.
oh yeah, because it's not just mindset, it's not just energetic, it's all of it because the mind and the physical body and the emotional world, that's all a holistic system. And I think that's where we have always this discrepancy because if we're only using the mind or if we only use the emotions, but we don't use how they work together,
Hmm.
then we create kind of these roller coaster situations where we fall into the extremes and the codependency, where we almost
Yep.
like we can get addicted to this adrenaline of money lows or money highs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I have so been there so many times, and especially I have the 24, which Gene Key 24, the shadow is addiction, and it's my conscious sun. And
Yeah.
I am always very aware in my life, like that I don't want to have an addiction, but like everything is sneaky. I've been addicted to this up and down cycle in my financial reality without even knowing it, like being addicted to the thrill, like even if I didn't like it, but the unhealthy thrill at the end of each month. Oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills next month, right? That's been totally in my reality too. And that is a very real addiction that people aren't often even aware of,
Mhm.
that's something that's guiding them
Yeah.
knowingly.
Yeah. And then also, I feel oftentimes there's an addiction to also make very risky investments in the coaching space, for example. And oftentimes we are very much encouraged to do that. Like, yeah, just take the leap of faith, right? And one of the things I have been helping my clients actually a lot with is to save money and not make these kind of very erratic decisions from this hyped up energy, right? Where people think, oh, unless you work with me, you're never going to make it. Like, we don't want to fall into it. There are times where you want to invest a lot of money and it's totally aligned and fine, right? But not from this place of like, you have to take or jump off the cliff and it's going to be the magic answer to everything. I mean, I've had so many people tell me stories where they went into utter disappointment because it wasn't from an aligned state with the nervous system.
Yeah.
Mm.
Not from this save me energy. I need to buy this from wanting to get
Yeah,
things, right?
again, codependency energy, right? Like, unless I do this, I'm not going to be fine. Because I have really found if something, I mean, sounds so amazing and I get into this like, oh my God, I need to do this, but it doesn't feel right in my body that I have learned, luckily through human design over the years, when I just could resist that temptation, something way better came my way a little bit later and often was like a fraction of the cost.
That's so true. Me too.
Yeah.
And in Kabbalah, we actually say that whenever you start something from needing it, you invite in the negative side.
Yeah.
So you're already inviting in chaos.
Yeah, you may attract mentors and guides that are just in for the money and not really caring about the transformation. It happens. And that's just a reflection of where we are at. It's not about the others. It's about you attract where you're at. If you feel like you don't have the power, you will attract people that make you feel like you don't have the power. And there's
Yeah.
this hierarchy kind of energy.
Oh my gosh, I feel like this conversation alone could be potentially really triggering, but we apologize, not apologize, because we both
Oh,
51 and
yeah.
it's our divine job to shock people into
Yeah, so
into power.
I have in my incarnation cross gate 39 and 51, and these are probably the two most triggering energies apparently in the human design chart. And I think we all like, you know, I always say like if you like feel like you need to hold back not to trigger people, that's the wrong approach. But we'd never want to like, oh, now let me trigger people on purpose. Like I'm just really sharing what's on my heart. And if that triggers you, I'm just gonna say you're welcome because
Yeah.
there is so much gold. It really is. That's where the shift happens.
Do you know this song from Moana that's what can I say except you're welcome?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're welcome. I love
We
you.
sing
You're
this,
welcome.
we sing this with the kids at home a lot. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
I love it.
And it's funny because you have those two triggering gates in your incarnation cross. I have one in my incarnation cross in my purpose, and then the 51 in my
Mercury.
um in my Mercury. So we can be the triggering duo and loving it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
for your benefit. So here you
Well,
go.
and the higher expression of the 51 is awakening, right? We're not doing this to be a pain in the butt. It's here to wake people up to their freaking power.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I feel it from you. You kick me, you awaken me in my butt all the time. I love it so much. Anyways, can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek of this shift method? Maybe like a little sample or like, can you give us something juicy?
Yeah, so one of the things we already talked about with the triggers, right? And it's really about, so one of the things in the shift method is called honest expression. That stands for the H. And we don't want to be ashamed of a trigger, right? Or we also don't want to project the trigger back to another person, like, oh, you make me feel, right? But we want to fully own how we feel. Like, oh my God, what you're saying right now, it really triggers me, and I feel so ashamed, or I feel so worthless, or whatever it is, right? And I feel oftentimes people have such a hard time to express what they honestly feel and think because of this whole law of attraction thing. Like, when you say something that is not super high vibe, it's going to manifest. And that for me, I've seen is the furthest from the truth. One of the things I really like, we really going to practice is to honestly express how we feel and then also release the emotions behind it. Right. And this is also a little bit about the 59th gene key, which is also part of this incarnation cross of the sleeping phoenix. It's all about transparency and honesty and the higher expression. So if we are staying fake and we pretend we are not triggered, we pretend we're high vibe, we pretend we're happy, we pretend we are in this like growth mindset, we're actually creating the opposite because we're not being transparent, we're not being honest. And then we create an unsustainable relationship with money and whatever relationships we have with ourselves and everything, right? Because we're really being out of integrity here. And this is how we also then limit the amount of goodness and success we can allow into our lives. So it may sound very simple, but let me tell you from what I have worked with clients now over the years, that's one of the hardest things for people to do.
But as you were sharing it, I could already feel like a deep level of soul and cellular relaxation when I'm like, oh my God, there's a space where I can be completely transparent and honest with whatever is going on inside of me, and it's going to be held and it's going to be transformed, and it's actually part of the magic of moving forward and the beauty of what's to come. Like I felt like this, whoo, my system was like, oh, this will be good and relaxing.
Yeah, because oftentimes we get into these programs or into these energy healing certifications and programs, but it's like a limited way of how we can do it, and we cannot be fully ourselves. So yeah, it's going to benefit you in all areas of life. Yeah.
This reminds me, I had a Voxer conversation with one of my business partners um, a couple of days ago, and there were tears involved. And then she was apologizing, and I like, what is this? What are we doing here? And I said to her, like, I sent her a message back, like, so the first thing, like, when did we ever learn that we have to apologize for having emotions and crying? Like that alone, like, is such a terrible conditioning of society. Like, let's kick that out of here, because this is where all the transformation happens. And this is so beautiful that there are spaces like in the shift method, for example, that I know many people are offering this, but it's so needed that um, that we can express and be honest, like you say, with how we are actually feeling, and let that be a starting point for a transformation, not something we have to hide, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I feel like 'cause sometimes it's like we just do the subconscious rewiring, and we think we need to change our beliefs. Like this will rewire your entire nervous system and everything. And I feel like we could teach this in schools. And maybe I'm gonna write a book about it
That'd
one
be
day.
great. Please do.
Yeah.
All right. So, do people have to be a certain human design type or a certain level of spirituality or anything to get results with this?
Nope. And I have a very flexible view on human design, so it's for any human design type. It's not like just for one of them. So if you feel called to dive into this, really trust yourself with that, you know.
But
Um,
what if I'm a projector?
it's especially going to work for you because I have noticed that a lot of projectors oftentimes feel very disempowered because of the undefined sequel. And that's not how I see it at all, actually. Any center that you have undefined, it's actually your superpower. And none of us in society is here to hustle and grind, right? So if you feel, especially like if you feel a little bit like you're limited by your human design, it's especially for you, right? Because I see human design in a very, very empowering way, and I see it way beyond the 5 human design types because every chart is so unique. And even though you may be a projector, when I look at the specifics in your chart, you actually most likely have elements of all the other types in some way, because these are like archetypal energies and dynamics. And unfortunately, at some point, human design made this categorization, I think, for simplicity purposes. But that's not how human design actually started. And at least people that are in my world, they already know my take on it. But just to answer, like this is for every human design type, and especially if you have an undefined sequel.
Perfect. I love it. I think a lot of people will resonate with this because human design can be such a pain and such a blessing all at
And
once.
and I want to say something. I mean, one of the biggest compliments I often receive from my clients is like, you're so calming and grounding. And I'm also like full of like power at the same time, but I calm down people's nervous system. And I make sense. I'm a Capricorn. I have actually like a grand trine in all like earth houses in my astrology, true sidereal. And I have a defined root center. So I have a lot of that energy in my chart. So I bring you back home in a
Mm.
very grounded and in a safe way. That's really what I cultivate in my containers always, like to create safety, so you can be really fully yourself.
I love that. And I know that from knowing you for so many years and having probably thousands of conversations over Voxer, you definitely have that effect on me too. So
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
for all of your magic. And last but not least, how can people learn more about how to work with this shift method, or what are some good ways to connect with it?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the ways I do this work with my one-on-one clients, right? But there's very limited availability. If somebody's interested, they can obviously reach out. But right now we have a very beautiful opportunity with the Wealth Frequency. That's a brand new program, and Alex is actually co-hosting it with me. It's a 12-week journey where I will take you to the shift method, and Alex is going to enhance everything because she's very deep into Kabbalah as well. She has also been studying human design, and really like energetically ground what we're going to teach and learn about the shift method into the body. And we chose it to be 12 weeks because this takes time. I'm not into these like quick fixes, and we don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. We're going to go very slow and steady every week so you can start to implement this. And this is not like you have to study. This is for you to implement in your daily life. It's not going to take you extra time because it's about being aware of how you show up in your daily life. If it's when you're washing the dishes, if it's when you're communicating with your partner and your kids, right? That's where the magic happens. And yeah, so that's the best way right now. I may later on offer more trainings about it, but as of this moment, this is the best and honestly also most affordable way to immerse yourself into this, to shift from the inside out, and you can apply this for yourself for a lifetime. And I'm also like, I want this to be shared far and wide. So that's why we make it. I mean, this is honestly like from what I have learned being a coach, like a high ticket container, but we intentionally kept it at a very low investment. There's even a payment plan. And yeah, everybody that feels the itch, the spark in a grounded way, like there's no pressure. But you're invited. You're invited to join us on this journey.
Yeah, I love this. And I could feel another system relaxation when you said, we're going to actually, there's not a lot of extra information involved. And my mind already went like, relax. And then we're going to do this slowly and integrate it in how you do everyday life. My system
Yeah.
relaxed, right?
Good.
So it's really like, I'm feeling more of like a arriving into it than, a spark, because I feel like this is how I want to live my life in a everyday, calm, grounded, magical, infusing way where like this morning, for example, I was stopped at the traffic light and bringing my son to his school. And there was this dog at the window staring at us from the car next to us. And I
Oh,
rolled
how
in the
cute.
window and I say, "Hi, little dog." And I saw his little name tag and I thought I read Alex. I was like, and I asked the lady, "What's your dog's name?" And she said, "Alex." And I'm like me.
Really? Oh my
It's
gosh.
like
I
I
love it.
see like I see these little magic things and the bigger magic things, they're happening on a daily basis. And this is just such a delight for me to witness the universe confirming us on a daily basis that we don't have to chase, we don't have to run after things and hustle all the time. When we want to take a day off, we can, and we're totally allowed. And it's just been such a nervous system recalibration that makes all of this magic happen every day. And it's thanks to you and thanks to knowing you and our conversations and the work we've been doing. So
Yeah. And one thing I want to add that just came to me, because this program also, we're going to integrate human design and gene keys. And like I said, it's for every human design type. So one of the things we will also integrate into this program through the lens of the shift method is the activation sequence, or the path of genius, how I like to call it. So it's the incarnation cross basically in your human design chart, which is all about stepping into your zone of genius and your purpose. Because that is so interconnected, right? And I have just seen so many people trying to figure it out so hard. And when you apply the energetics of the shift method, like watch out of how much magic can unfold. So
I mean, I'm personally so excited to go through it together and see what more magic we can unpack. But yeah, for everyone interested and curious, either reach out to either one of us or find more details in the show notes. And yeah, and we hope to see you in there because it's going to be such a fun journey with lots of surprises ahead. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
yeah, and we already have a wonderful group together, and I think I almost know everyone in there. And these are people that know my work, they know what we're doing, and they have already seen the results of how powerful this work is. So, and I don't like to pitch and convince people, but I think it's really I know it's gonna be magical. Like it's really the energy you bring into it. If you're open to receive this, like, yeah, we would love to have you. And thank you, Alex, for interviewing me. Thank you all for being here. And well, maybe we're gonna see you in the world frequency.
That would be magical.
Awesome. Ciao, everyone.
Ciao.